prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that, look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows. We know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in.
All right, folks, so we have some more urgent breaking news. I know you might be exhausted, but it pertains to this disastrous Oval Office de facto press conference conducted by Donald Trump. He is doubling down and insisting that he is prepared to deploy the National Guard all across the United States, even over the objection of state governors. And throughout the course of this disastrous Oval Office meeting, he emphasizes a militancy, talking about how important it is for the National Guard to be armed, how important it is for state and local leaders to be nice to him so as to avoid receiving the National Guard being deployed on their watch, talking about even renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War because he wants to go on offense. Folks, this is a staggering rhetorical escalation on the back of actual actions where Donald Trump is abusing executive power and militarizing the streets of the United States in what seems to be dress rehearsal for potential election interference in the 2026 midterms or the 2028 presidential election. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, I'm sorry, this is a red alert moment. Donald Trump is no longer merely a presidential candidate, no longer merely a former president. He is the president of the United States, the most powerful man on earth, and he seems to be going for broke, doubling down in rhetoric and deed. It's extraordinary in terms of the authoritarian overreach. We've never seen anything like it, and we have to take it seriously. Left, right, center, it doesn't matter. You need to take it seriously. As a reminder, Trump was, during the campaign, he talked about how I'll be a dictator on day one. But even after assuming office, just today in this Oval Office meeting, he talks about how some people are wanting a dictator.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
What the hell? He's poo-pooing like people are saying, freedom, civil liberties, the Constitution, freedom, freedom. Well, people want a dictator. I mean, guys, he's putting up a fucking red light, a neon sign. He's not being subtle about it. This isn't, this isn't Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars prequels. This isn't Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. This is not a well-written, three-dimensional, subtle comic book villain or villain. This is just blatant. This is Sunday morning cartoon shit. This is a guy like Dr. Evil or Dr. Doom hosting the Legion of Doom. Like, it's so in your face. We have to take it seriously, and you have to encourage others to take it seriously as well. People who dismiss this out of hand would not be saying this shit if the shoe were on the other foot, if it were a Democrat, if it were Joe Biden saying anything approaching this. Texas would be seceding from the Union, and understandably so. Now, you have what he says there, and then you have Defense Secretary and former Fox News host Pete Hegseth emphasizing, they're ready to go at your order, sir, and it's really important that federal forces be armed.
Grateful to be doing it, whether they're D.C. National Guard or other state National Guards, and at your direction as well, sir. It's just common sense to make sure they're armed as well. And so we're rolling out ensuring they're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement, and we're proud to be there, sir.
People do expect well, why is he publicly emphasizing that the National Guard, they're ready to go at your orders, sir, will be armed? Again, he's trying to desensitize, trying to inure people to the sight. Yeah, it's common sense to see armed National Guard throughout the streets of blue cities and blue states. Obviously not red cities or red states. That's different. But, it's common sense, and it's for self-defense. Why are they talking like this? Why are they talking like this? And again, asked again, is the Pentagon prepared to deploy the military? Trump doubles down on this rhetoric, doubles down on this authoritarian impulse to use the military against U.S. citizens.
The Pentagon, and maybe the Secretary of Defense can weigh into, is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the governor?
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of great human beings. We're full. Our military is full. We were way empty.
He says they're ready. The Pentagon is planning to deploy the U.S. military, so not even the National Guards from the sounds of it, because it's not the Pentagon. that deals with the National Guard, as far as I'm aware, because again, they're a quasi. They have multiple jurisdictions. They state and federal, and yes, they're military reserve units, but they also can be deployed during times of emergency as domestic law enforcement by state governors and the president in a way that doesn't violate the Posse Comitatus Act. So the National Guard is nebulous. From the sounds of that question and Trump's answer, and just taking it at face value, when she says the military, she's actually referring to the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marines, the U.S. Air Force, talking about deploying them to Chicago. And he says, yeah, we're prepared. Folks, again, it's a shocking escalation. This should shock the senses. And if it doesn't shock you, and listen, full disclosure, there are times that Donald Trump says and does something where I'm not shocked, or I know I should be shocked. It's like, that's not good, but I'm just numb to it. You have to psych yourself up. You have to appreciate the objective reality of the sitting president of the United States being an open fascist. And it should shock you. The fact that it doesn't is irrelevant. It should not stop you. It's not good. It's just not good. And it's going to be very important that in the midterm elections in 2026, to the extent that we're able to have free and fair elections, and certainly in 2028, folks, you have to vote Democrat. In the primary, you have to push for candidates who are electable, yes, but who are also willing to stand up to Trump. Like, hey, listen, give me power, I will check this man. And get them through the primary and get them through the general. Take power from as many Republicans as possible through elections in 2026 and 2028. That's the only chance we have. So, I mentioned in the opening that part of Trump's dangerous rhetoric in this disastrous Oval Office meeting is that he's indicating that flattery from state and local leaders will go a long way as to whether he deploys federal troops or the National Guard against them. Listen to this very carefully.
To a lesser extent with the mayor, she hasn't been terrible, but she hasn't been, exactly saying, oh, great. She did say last night, I heard her say that, well, we really don't want the military in D.C. Well, that's, not very nice, I guess. That's a little bit of a hit. But she's not as bad as some.
So her saying nice things, that's going to weigh on your decision-making process? That's a little bit of a hit. So if a state or local leader is like, yeah, we'd prefer that the president of the United States not deploy the U.S. military against us, minor preference that we have, he's going to count that as a demerit against you? It just is objectively. Like, people should give a shit about this. And again, I can't help myself. I'm trying to train myself not to be concerned about the hypocrisy of it. But I just know how everybody would react if this were a Democrat. A Democratic president would never do this because Democratic politicians are objectively morally superior to Republican politicians. But if in such a timeline a Democratic president were to say such a thing, they would be condemned not just by the Republican Party, but by most of the Democratic Party as well. I mean, Jesus Christ, we pressured Joe Biden out of the candidacy after a disastrous debate. So we're obviously willing to ditch our candidates. And he was the sitting president of the United States. When the good reason was so overwhelming in your face, like, okay, the Democratic Party rebelled against him. We don't see anything like that with Trump, for objectively far worse reasons. If you're willing to withdraw your support for the sitting president of the United States because of his age, because of a disastrous debate performance, because you have legitimate questions about his mental fitness, what about a guy who's also old, whose mental fitness you can also question? We'll probably cover that, by the way, in a separate video, because he had a number of fucking moments in this press conference where you're like, oh my God, he's senile. We'll set that aside. Trump is also old. Trump is also of questionable mental fitness. He's also the sitting president of the United States. But worse than Biden, he's openly censorious, openly authoritarian. Where are the Republicans going to withdraw their support and put political pressure on this man? They're refusing to do it. Here's another clip.
Because if they won, you wouldn't have a country anymore. And so, Pete, you started up by saying the Department of Defense. And somehow it didn't sound good to him. It didn't sound good. Defense. What are we defense? Why are we defense? So it used to be called the Department of War. And it had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Now we have a Department of Defense with defenders. I don't know. If you people want to, standing behind me, if you take a little vote, if you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me. All right?
That's coming soon, sir.
You let me know if you want to do it.
It's coming soon. Their priority is to change the Department of Defense to the Department of War. What are we? They're just fucking signaling it. He's going to say in a year, he's going to be like, the Department of War, honestly, I thought it was a good step in the right direction, but some say that wars, it could refer to Star Wars, and I'm more of a Trekkie than anything else. And so we're going to take it from the Department of War to the Department of Doom. Doom is really good. It's a great video game. There's a doctor. Doctor's a great Doctor Doom, right? And it's just like even more formidable. You come with us. You attack us. We've got a Department of Doom. We can deliver first-class mail, priority mail, Amazon Prime, that shit. Like, apparently it's a priority. We're working on it, sir. I promise you right now. While inflation is skyrocketing and your polling is plummeting, we've got our eyes on the prize, Mr. President. We're going to draft it right now. Change it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War.
I think Department of War. It just sounded bad. He said, "Sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense." Defense. I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But as Department of War, we won everything.
Okay. So I genuinely believe that this idiot thinks that literally the name of the department has a material impact on whether the United States is capable of defeating another nation in a conventional battle, in a conventional war. I am convinced that listen, defense, it's like, that means missiles don't work right? You can't fire missiles unilaterally under the Department of Defense. They just don't work. But if you change the code to war, missiles work right. You can fire them for, it's just a fucking name. And the reason it was changed was to evoke the sense of, hey, we don't attack people. We will defend ourselves. We will defend ourselves with brutal efficiency. But now, obviously, that has not stopped the United States of America from initiating unilateral strikes. We don't, there's not some sort of magical contract which compels the DOD to only swing second. That we have to wait and turn it's so dumb. It was a symbolic gesture that, hey, listen, we're not looking to make war. We're not looking to go on offense. We're not looking to conquer, even though very often the U.S. obviously continued to do all sorts of shady, unethical military things after the name change. But Trump is saying, fuck the auspice, fuck the symbology of it. Let's just call it what it is. Let's call it the Department of War. Folks, again, I'm sorry, red alert moment, and we're going to have more videos about this disastrous Oval Office meeting because there was a lot there. Trump's, unconstitutional executive order, which you just saw a video about, this shit with him I'm prepared to send the National Guard in and the military to blue cities and blue states over the objection of state and local leaders prepared to do it. They have to be armed. We're talking about renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. All this insane military shit. There's also other stuff we have to talk about as well. But on this is a red alert moment and another reason why, God willing, we have free and fair elections in 2026 and 2028, and we need to turn out. We need to turn out. I don't care what your objections are. If a candidate's too left or too right, it doesn't matter. If they're a Democrat and they are showing that they are willing, moderate or progressive, to fight Trump politically, you fucking vote for him. At least in my opinion. If you have a better idea, let me know. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.